Let me tell you something, Fed. Making your own epoxy countertops is way easier than you think.
This Avid CNC makes quick work of cutting out the countertop.
I'm also using a hurricane vacuum system to hold down the MDF.
Next, we cut some backsplash pieces and glue on a front piece to thicken the front edge.
After it cures the next day, I run the front edge through the table saw, and I basically just want to take off about a 1/16 of an inch just to make sure that those two pieces that I glued together were nice and flush. And that was just simple, just run it through the table saw. And then basically I get set up, I get some boards and prop it up. And what I wanted to do was router the inside of the sink hole and the outside of both sides of this front lip. I wanted to router, and what that would do is when I epoxy the top, it would flow and kind of wrap around underneath that front edge. And right here I'm just sanding off those saw marks, making sure the edges are nice and flush. And then basically after that, I needed to cut some backsplashes. So I'm basically making some, I believe they're 4-inch backsplashes, and I'll need to router those. And basically the way I'm setting it up, the backsplashes, I'm gonna pour the epoxy all at the same time and basically have the colors run through these backsplashes. Here you can see I've kind of got it clamped down and I'm routering it. Now, these videos are for entertainment purposes only. You can see all that MDF dust flying, and I've got no mask on. That's not the way to do it. Always wear a mask whenever you're sanding, and yeah, don't pay attention to me. Basically, I got my earphones on, and I'm just getting both these backsplashes dialed in and routered, and then I kind of take a look at everything, give them a little bit of a reveal so they're not right up against the edge. And yeah, they were pretty much ready to go. That's the last cut, I believe, and now it was time to basically make sure all the routering was done, sanding was done, any little edges that needed to be cleaned up, I get those cleaned up. Right here, I'm going to router the inside of this sink. Now, I kind of wish I would have done that before I put that front edge on, because that back edge, I couldn't get my router all the way in there, so I had to sand a little bit of that by hand. But it all worked out. To me, it looks really good, you know. Let me know what you think in the comments, of course. So yeah, this is an MDF epoxy countertop. Right here, I've got some primer paint, and it's just some black, or actually it's a gunmetal gray, but it adheres to MDF really nicely. So I basically prime the whole thing with that. It's kind of a good idea to prime your epoxy projects with a color that you don't mind if it comes through. Now in my case, I'm using a bunch of eye candy pigments, and they tend to be a little bit translucent, so you kind of have to watch out, you know, and make sure that you have a primer that you don't mind seeing through your project. Okay, once you have all your pieces painted, you're pretty much ready for your epoxy. Preparation is everything. So I've got a tarp down on the floor. I've got plastic over the top of my wood right here. I've got all these pieces leveled perfectly. The background noise that you hear is my heater. I've got a thermostat right here that says almost 60. And before we pour, we're going to be up to about 70 degrees in this little area. And so I'll have to have the heaters running for probably a couple more hours. But preparation is everything. So once you have it all level and everything, in the beginning, you can actually, like, I might tape this side, or I'll for sure tape, actually, I'll tape this side over here because I don't need it running over this side. But this side over here, I'll probably leave open. But you can tape it to contain your epoxy. Now in the center, because this is an undermount sink, I want this epoxy to flow right over. And I've actually routed the bottom edge of this too. hoping that the epoxy will curl under a little bit. And the other things I do, so you want to be ready with all your stuff. Now I know I'm using these 4 colors. I'm using all eye candy pigments. This is dark ocean green from eye candy. This is icicle, which is like a white, almost a sparkly diamond white color. This one is Pacific blue. That's going to be the blue. And then we have some black. So we got basically the main colors are green, blue, and black. And it's going to be kind of a dark table. We're not going to put any oils in it to create any. We're basically going to create some streams, and we're going to use our blow dryer, and we're going to do it a little differently than we did the closet epoxy table last time. We're going to try to make this a little nicer. Anyway, we got to wait till this gets ready. So you can see, I've got my drill for mixing. I've got some brushes to basically if I need to wipe some epoxy on it. I've got some stir sticks to basically if I need to make any lines or anything. And I've got all my jars ready to go. I used to use torch for the bubbles, but I found that if you use denatured alcohol and you just spritz it on top, it does even a better job. So we'll let the room get up to temperature, and then we'll get this project done.
And here we go, kind of the exciting part, pouring the epoxy and seeing the colors start to emerge. You never know exactly how it's going to turn out.
I always start out pouring clear, and then I start putting the colors next to the clear, and then basically I can pour closer to the clear, and then I can pour into the clear.
There's definitely an art to blending the colors, and there's many different ways to do it.
The edges can be the hardest part. I tend to start concentrating a lot on the edges when I'm blending all the colors, because you want those edges to really flow into the whole top. And that is the finished product right there.
These colors are pretty wild.
Let me know what you think in the comments.
Once the epoxy is fully cured, and you can carefully flip it over and sand off the little dimples on the bottom.
Always wear a mask. I don't know why, but I completely forgot to wear a mask during this whole project, which I kind of regret. Anyway, here's the installation. We test fit it, and then we start to glue it all down, and yeah, it turned out really nice.
And here you can see the finished product. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching.
There he goes, it's a working man. He's trying to make a living any way he can. And he'll break